Isn't it true that's what leaders do of their followers? Because we all know this. The leader's main job is to take their followers and do what with them?
Turn them into leaders.
Exactly, to raise them up to leaders. And I can't think of a better way to do that than with goal setting. Now, when I say goal setting with your officers, what do you think I mean by that? Goal setting with your officers. What do you think I mean as a president, right? Thank you, Lance. Give me a second. What do you think I mean by that, Ms. Michael?
Targets.
What type of targets? Right, you're exactly correct. So you give each person a target. What type of targets? Give me an example for like VPE. What's a good target for VPE? What's a good goal for VPE?
Number of people have advanced.
Number of people have advanced. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to share with you a little bit later a very sad statistic when it comes to this idea of advancement. All right, so you could ask the VPE to target, hey, how many additional goals, educational goals will be achieved? What about VPPR? What's a goal key set for VPPR?
Number of people that have shown up to meetings.
Yeah, definitely. My gosh. Yeah, it's great that you're doing all this, but are you driving any people to the meetings? That type of thing. Okay. What would be a good goal for a sergeant at arms?
Being on time.
Yeah. Is the room set up appropriately? Not only that, is the board meeting set up appropriately? Is the meeting set up appropriately? That type of thing. I challenge you, do that one goal, and now that I challenge you to do for all the 6 other officers. And then quite simply, I'm going to put it right back to you. What's going to be your goal for the next coming month? All right, since we're the person out front, all right, I love, anybody know who Mark Cuban is?
Yeah.
Mark Cuban, the billionaire shark. I'm listening to an interview from him. Ladies and gentlemen, I try to learn from everywhere when it comes to this idea of leadership. And he once said this in an interview: I will never ask any one of my employees to do something that I will not personally do myself. A billionaire, do you know what that means to me? A billionaire could pay anybody to do anything they want, but yet he won't ask any of the people that work for him to do it. So just as we ask for others to set goals, let's start setting goals for ourselves. Okay? Now, question for you. When you're at a board meeting, whether it's in person or online or virtual, do you think there's going to be some disagreements that come up?
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah, always. I love that. They always. You deal with human beings. What do they say about human beings? We're highly emotional creatures. Won't you agree? So let me ask you. You're the person out front. You're setting the example. If a disagreement comes up, how we go about handling a disagreement, right? Let's say when it comes to this idea of pathways, how we should indoctrinate pathways. Let's get pathways, since in the next 6 months it's got to happen. Let's say there's a disagreement at the board meeting, how we indoctrinate the membership to definitely switch over July 1st, 2020. How would you handle that disagreement? How would you handle that obstacle? To be understood and heard. Very good. William.
I believe after all the points are heard, to come to a vote and make a final decision on where we're going.
Yeah, because that's the thing I'm thinking of. So you get both sides of the coin. They're both shiny. They're both fantastic. How do you finally decide on which way to go? William says vote. In other words, put up to the 7 of you. What says you? What says the rest of you? How do you make a final decision?
Compromise.
Compromise. Really? Compromise? Does it mean that some people are winning, some people are losing with the compromise?
No, everybody wins.
How's that possible? How does everybody win?
I think situational.
Yes. Yes. Thank you, Dan. I'll get. I'm sorry. What?
I'm not a fan of compromise.
Okay.
I mean, we have an edict that we go full pathways by July 1st. So we have to figure it out. And if we compromise, we can't say, okay, we'll do a little bit with the old CC or something like that. That's not an option for us. Here's a little advice from a 17-year-old kid, Billie Eilish, who in an interview I saw talking about creating music with her brother. She said, we never compromise. We will fight tooth and nail for what we believe in. She said, but the deal is you have to let other people win at times. So I think we looked at, look, we got to get to this.
Right.
But other battles during the year, we have to let the other board members voice their opinions and win as well. So at the end of the year, everybody does come out a winner, but they're all at different battles.
Okay, fair enough. And then Dan, then you want to include something?
I was going to say, for me, it's situational. There are times where I will hear everybody, make sure I understand everybody's position, and I will make a decision.
Okay.
And then there's sometimes where I'll decide, you know what, this should be something that's we put to a vote.
And I think there it is. That's what I wanted to hear, because as president, right, remember, we create that culture. We create the feeling. Did I just say that a moment ago? And then the next president could come in and do it as they wish. And again, I'm going to say, depending upon the situation, and in particular, and your name again in the back? Your name again? John. Again, if there's an ultimatum coming up, in particular when it comes to pathways, would you agree that a decision have to be made? Mm-hmm. So I'm a big believer, and you could disagree with me, because sometimes as president, guess what we have to do? We got to take out the Solomon sword
Executive decision.
and make an executive decision. Okay? Right. Lance, then I do need to continue.
One thing that's helpful at the very beginning of the term is if the president leads a discussion with the officers on how agreements will be reached.
Okay, very good.
So that
Okay.
then everybody is on board once you've made a decision, and the way you've made the decision is what you've agreed upon initially.
Did everybody hear what Lance said?
Yes.
Again, it goes back to what I'm saying. Not only are we the person that inspires the team, but we're the individuals that set the expectations, right? We set the expectations. I'm going to finish up with responsibilities with this. How many of you are reading all your emails from TI and District 52? How many of you are reading all? Oh, that's what I thought. All right. All right. Because, ladies and gentlemen, you missed an unbelievable email this past Thursday. Right? It was so good that I had to print it out. From Agnes Lewis, I'm sure that Judy had something to do with this email, right? Did you put this email together? Right? Fantastic email, because, ladies and gentlemen, in this past Thursday, December 5th at 12:01 p.m., there was something in here that, I don't know if you realize it, but we actually won a J.D. Power, an award. I'm just lying. We didn't win J.D. Power at all. All righty. But there was something in there in regards to pathways, which we're going to talk about today, that I'm going to highly recommend. Start glancing at, start opening up, because there's some valuable information coming from the top three, from Agnes, Circe, and John. And I have to hand it to them, the team that they put together with Judy, with Dawn and all that, in particular when it comes to this transition, because they realize they're at a hard out, right, when it comes to pathways. Unbelievable. So I'm going to definitely, then I'm going to say this, if I may translate that, that means after every report, it's up to the president to say, okay, what's going to be your next action item? What's going to be executed for the next meeting? Is that what you're saying? Not only for the next board meeting, but also for the next club meeting, that type of thing. Okay? Let's continue. Let's talk about planning now. I believe that's in your agenda, planning. Question for you. Does every one of your officers understand the dues, the fees, TI, club dues? Does all of your officers understand the fee structure when it comes to TI, when it comes to international dues as well as club dues? Does all your officers? Well, if they don't, I would definitely mark that down. That's one of our responsibilities. Right? Again, we don't do it, but we got to make sure that the club stays alive with the various fees, dues, and all that type of thing. What about application? We have a new member. Are you familiar with the application? Question for you. You got a new member, talking about planning, you got a new member. Who does the new member orientation? All right, I'm going to say this. It is the VPE. But again, to make things easier, to have them learn the idea of delegation, why not at that point with the new member, have them assign a mentor right there to help them with the new member orientation. Now, just to help you with that, let me share this with you. All right, was everybody able to get online? Am I still online here? Fantastic. So this is what I'd like you to do. Go to Toastmasters.org. All right, I'm a big believer. Why reinvent the wheel? Ladies and gentlemen, can I share something with you? The wheel's been invented. Right, in particular when it comes to this new member orientation, because TI, International, knows that this is one of the most difficult things. Is everybody on Toastmasters.org? Have you logged in?
Yes.
Okay. Now, if you notice, in the upper right-hand corner is a search window. So go to Toastmasters.org, put your cursor inside inside that search box, and type in for me, new member orientation. Hopefully I spelled that right. Hit enter or hit the little spyglass. Okay. Now what's going to come up? Again, I just want to show you some resources. I'm a big believer in resources. I'm a big believer that the wheel's been invented. It's just up for us to go find that wheel. Okay. Now I think with all of us on this Wi-Fi network, it's probably going to take some time. Do you see it says orienting new members? Do you see that tile there? Okay. So go ahead, click on orienting new members. Okay. Now you're going to notice this document there. Okay? Now again, Toast TI is trying to help as much as possible. If you scroll down, look, you could download that form. It's a 4-page document. Now we're not going to go over that today. Why? Whose responsibility for new member orientation? VPE. So I'm going to say this, and this is what I love about these 2-hour programs now. Now you know that this resource exists. Well, now you could be that leader. You could set the example. You could inspire your VP and say, hey, you want to help with new member orientation? Go here, go there, go there. And go download this thing. Now, this is my question for you. How do you think the VP is going to feel about you when you bring this valuable information to them? Will they feel good or bad about you? Good. Do you think they have more? Do you think they'd be more apt to follow you? Do you think they'd be more apt to follow? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. All right. So there's something you could use, a 4-page document that now the VP can use themselves or pass it on to the member's mentor. I want to go back to this idea of your theme. I want to leave you with this. Again, maybe this is a more personal thing from my own point of view, but have you come up with your theme, your standard, right? What is the mark of your club? Now, as I shared with you, Wine and Dine back in July of 2018, we were doing okay, but I just saw that due to the nature of things, we needed members. So for some reason, I came up with this idea of Drive for 25. It's a little rhymey, right? It's an easy thing to say. And pretty soon, I had everybody, not only my board members behind it, but all membership behind it. So I'm going to ask you, we have 6 months left in your term. Have you come up with your standard? Right, does everyone know what a standard is? It's that little pipe thing that the person in front of the army carries. So why? That the whole troop follows that one thing. It's the standard. So I'm going to ask you, have you come up with your club standard? That one idea, that one concept that will bring everyone together so you can influence their behavior and all that, you're setting the expectations. Look at that. With one thing, by you coming up with a theme, you take care of what leaders do. Inspire and set expectations. Okay? Oh, look at this. I love this. And what do you put here? Do you put anything there?
No, I just read it.
So they present
Come up to the lectern
and you present them this certificate. Everybody gets one of these? All right, so I love it, right? Look at that. You made a nice frame. Why not?
Microsoft Word.
Microsoft Word. How long did it take you to make that?
5 seconds.
5 seconds.
Copy
Now,
and paste.
copy and paste. Now again, what I say is this: because of that 5 seconds, that little bit of investment up front, look what you're going to get in return when you hand that to somebody. They get this little document, and they start reading it. Don't you think it's going to make a difference in that person's life that you're showing that type of interest? Okay. So this is what we've got to do. This is about new members now, and even current members. So join me now on Toastmasters.org. Sign in. Did everybody sign in? All right. So that means at the top of this page, it say "Welcome" in your name. Now I'll be honest with you. I had to change something. I had to look something up, and it took me like 3 days to figure out where all my personal profile information is. Right. Does anybody know where to find your personal profile information on this page? Yep. What do you need to click?
Welcome, Maurice.
Yeah, welcome your name. Okay, that's just a little thing of me. I was like, it took me 3 days to figure out. Finally, I clicked on. So everybody, please click on welcome your name. All right, on the top of this page. Okay. I'm going to highly recommend what I'm sharing with you now. I'm going to highly recommend to share with your membership, in particular your new members. Okay. And what are you going to see here is you're going to see your profile. Everybody with me?
Yes. Yep.
Everybody have these 3 boxes. And if you don't have a computer, by all means take notes. So all I did was I went to Toastmasters.org. I logged in. I clicked on the welcome name. Now I'm on my profile. Now look, I could go to the base camp and pathways and all that, but no, this is about profiles. What I'd like you to do now is, do you see below base camp, you see that little red box where it says edit contact information and privacy?
Yeah.
Please click on that tile. Okay, this is for international. Thank you, Tom. This is for the international. So to get mail, email. To get mail, better known as the Toastmasters magazine. How many of you read the Toastmasters magazine? All right, definitely. Anybody travel with that and take pictures of it? You should do it. It's a crazy. You should do it. Why? You get in the front of that magazine. It's the craziest thing. Yes, Marcia.
Take 4 with you every time you fly and put it in the seat backs around you.
Yeah, definitely do that. Now I'm going to say, for me, I'm going to say yes to emails, yes to mails. Now third party, that's up to you. But what I want you to do is scroll all the way down to your name on public reports. Okay? Let's continue now. Let's go back. Okay, so click out of here. I think scroll to the bottom. Just hit cancel. Okay. Click on the Toastmaster symbol there. Why? Because I want to just go back to the home page. Okay, the home page. Let's talk about Club Central. Now I'm going to say this again. Just like we're responsible for the overview of our club officers, we should have an understanding of Club Central. Not that you have to do everything within Club Central, but you should have an understanding of it. Why? Because there's certain officers that must use Club Central to execute what they need to do, their duties. All right? So we're back on the home page. Everybody on the home page now? Okay, we're on the home page. So now I'd like you to do this. We're on Toastmasters.org. Okay? Hover over Leadership Central. You see where I am? Leadership Central. All right, click on that. So you're going to click on Leadership Central. It's going to do this drop-down window. And now what I'd like you to do is click on Club Central all the way here on the left-hand side as the first entry. You see where that is? Club Central. Click on that. And here it is. We call these tiles, right? I'm sure there's other names for it, but we're going to call them tiles for today. This is where the treasurer, the VP, the VPM, all these people come in and fill in their various forms. Not that you have to fill these various forms, but ladies and gentlemen, wouldn't it be in our best interest to make sure that these forms are filled out? Well, I don't know about you, but I got to know where these forms are located online. So again, I'm going to make the suggestion. On your own time, click around. Go ahead, click around on this and discover it. I'm just going to highlight a few of these, but then I'm going to do a deep dive on one particular one. Okay? So right away, we have Add New Member. Ladies and gentlemen, Add New Member, and right next to it, Submit Payment. Which club officer is responsible for adding new members and submitting payments? Treasurer. So write that down, right? Adding new members and submitting, right? Didn't we say this? Once the application is filled out, right? I think James kept saying that the treasurer complains to everybody else that this is not filled out. Why? Because they got to go to this tile, add a member, submit payments, and do all that, as well as current membership dues. So add members and submit payments is treasurer. Submit educational awards. Who's the person responsible for this tile?
Education.
VP. And again, I'm going to highly recommend just to check it out to see what it is. But what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to click on Club Roster. Right? Club Roster tile. Ladies and gentlemen, who's responsible for this one?
Membership.
Secretary.
President.
Everyone. Not everyone, because not everyone can get here.
The treasurer. Do you remember? Because I gave you a clue before. Once they input member and payment, what happens? It populates the roster. Didn't I say that? So yes. So that means here's a stop check, right? A stopgap, a check. In other words, for the treasurer to make sure that all the information has been included, that they are now a member. How do they make sure that they are now a member in TI's eyes? Club roster. But can I let you in on a little secret? For me as president, I look at this in particular at the end or the beginning of a term. Why? As a president, why am I so interested of the club roster at the ending or beginning of a term? In June, July, that type of thing.
How many members? Distinguished club.
Say that again?
How many members paid and unpaid?
And there it is.
Yeah.
Right? Because unpaid members, guess what's going to happen? After 3 months, they fall off, and there goes your membership numbers. Yeah, it may look good, right? July 1st, you got 25 members, everybody's shaking hands, and then you realize that 5 people didn't pay. What the heck? So this is what I would use. I would use the club roster to find out who's paid and unpaid. And I don't know about you, but I, as well as the VPM, would be talking to these people. Right, James? That's how I knew James. I was on his tail, right? Is it okay if I point you out? Right, well, too late, I already did. Alrighty? All right, because here's the great thing. Because right now, if you look at it right now, right, everyone's paid for. In fact, if you scroll all the way to the bottom, you're going to notice, right, total paid members. And then total unpaid members should say 0, right? Does it say 0 there? Yep. Yeah, because it falls out. So my recommendation is this: at the beginning, at the end, at the beginning of each term, yes, as presidents, check this out to see who's paid and unpaid, that type of thing, and definitely why. It's hard enough to bring in new people, but I say this: the easiest pick. How about this? What's the easiest fruit to pick?
Low hanging.
Low hanging. Who's the low hanging fruit here when it comes to your membership? Current members, exactly, existing members. So here's a great way to maintain your membership. Now another thing, again, June 30th, 2020. June 30th, 2020. What's the date?
June 30th, 2020.
Well, look at this. It tells you who's enrolled with Pathways or not. Everybody see that? Pathways enrolled, Pathways enrolled. Why? TI is looking at this. July 1st, with this district, they're going to say, hey, we're going to start getting little black marks on us. So it falls on us, right? We lead the example. And all that, I'm going to say this. As presidents in this term, you probably have the greatest challenge, the greatest weight on your shoulders is to make sure it happens. Does everybody realize that? Mm-hmm. You, in this room, you are totally responsible to make sure the transition happens. We had 2 years to do it. Well, guess what? The finish line is here. It's called June 30th, 2020. Okay?
Now, the question I
Lance.
think that I heard was, if we have a member who is not signed up for Pathways now, what happens to them on July 1 if they still have not decided to walk, run, or crawl?
Well, just to let you know, the district has set up a drawn and quarter thing. We're actually going to set this person up. We're going to, no, I'm just kidding. Yes, seriously.
Maurice is going to talk about club standards in just a few minutes.
Yes.
There are only 3 things that TI requires of every Toastmasters club. One is to give speeches that are attached to a manual or a project. Come July 1st, speeches given in the club need to be attached to a Pathways project. You as presidents are responsible for that. What that means is you should not allow any member to give a speech that is not attached to a Pathways project on July 1st.
Okay. Again, just let's scroll down where it says club membership. Oh, no, not club membership. Where it says club administration. Everybody see that?
Yeah.
You see where it says, just scroll down a little bit. You see where it says club administration?
Yes.
It says club offer assignment. This is, in other words, who's the president, who's the VPM, VP. Who fills this out?
Secretary.
The secretary. The secretary. The club officer assignment, you see it up there, the club officer assignment? The secretary does it, right? Because again, they're the loggers. They log everything. But again, I would highly recommend to go check this out because they make it very easy with spinners to populate this, okay? Oh, you know what I want to talk about? Please find, it's the 4th tile from the left-hand side. Please find and click on Club Contact and Meeting Information. Club Contact and Meeting Information. Now again, it could be up. It could be up to you. It could be up to the VP to fill this out. Or better yet, I'm going to say this: we're going to recommend. In fact, we're going to say the VPPR should be populated in here. Why? This is the club information that TI presents to who?
Find a club.
Find a club. It presents it to who, though?
The world.
The public. And remember, what does that mean? That means it's outside of that sphere. It's outside of that bubble. Ladies and gentlemen, who's the person in your what officer is responsible for the individuals outside of the bubble?
PR.
Do you everybody see why I bring up this point now? The point of that is this is what gets advertised. You're exactly correct, Tom, with Find a Club. But what I'm saying is this is how TI advertised your club to the public. Well, since it's outside the bubble, who's the person responsible for that? The VPPR. So what we're saying is make sure that the VPPR's contact is within here. Okay? Make sure it's filled out. Now, the only thing with this is, and we're trying to have TI fix this, and they may have fixed it during this presentation, is this. When somebody submits an educational achievement, this is the connection TI has with your club. Somebody just completes an educational achievement. But who receives it? The VPPR. Is that the person responsible for the member's education?
No.
Who's the person? What officer is responsible for the person's education?
Education.
So you better instruct your VPPRs, right, that when something gets submitted and Toastmasters International says, yes, they got that level, well, who receives that notification? VPPR. And what do? Oh, another email from TI. Delete. And now the VP is not aware of it. So what I'm asking you to do is, you got to relay to your VPPR that when they got to be cognizant, they've got to be aware of it, that when they get these type of notifications, they got to forward it to the to the Vice President of Education. Why? So they could do what they need to do to finalize it. Yes, this is, for some reason, they got to fix it. This is TI's connection to our club. So when TI says, yes, that person's got that educational thing, let me tell the club. Well, who are they going to tell?
PR.
The VPPR. Does everybody see that? So it's up to us to tell you, us presidents, to tell the VPPR that don't disregard this. They got to forward to the Vice President of Education. Yes, John.
I understand your point, but if everything falls back on the president, like I'm the contact now, I know what I can get out to my club members.
Fine.
And I'm responsible for it, and that drives me nuts, actually.
Well, then I'm going to say this. Then that's your club culture. Because I will say this. Look, I'm even contradicting myself. I'm on my site, my profile. I'm the VPPR, but who's the contact person for Wine and Dine? Lance Webster, the president. Because that's what we decided. That's what we decided as a club. So I'm going to put it to you. Whoever you want as your contact, please be aware, whether it's a president, but most people, because again, it's that outside bubble, it should be the VPPR. Why? They're tracking these people, they're holding on to their email addresses. Why? So that the next meeting they could contact these people. Okay? So I agree with you. If it's a president, Wine and Dine, Lance is up there, I'm not up there. But then I put it to you, if you're there, the Vice President of Education is there, they just got to be aware that when that educational award gets submitted and it is approved, it goes to this person. Now, remember earlier today I said the standard to come up with the club's theme? Well, of course, I'm going to say this. Probably an easy way to do that, and it was brought to my attention, right? Thank you, Lance, is the DCP program, right? The Distinguished Club program. Why not come up with your thing? Yeah, put your spin on it, right? It's your club. Put your spin on it for the next 6 months. But make sure, I'm going to say this, make sure, if you wish, to put it in alignment with that. And what do I mean? Look at the tiles now on the right-hand side where it says Distinguished Performance Report. Do everybody see what I'm highlighting? Yeah. So please click on that tile. So to make sure that your Vice President of Education is checking this out. But we should be checking it out as well. Why? There's various aspects of it. In particular, how about this? What's the one criteria you need to have in place? What's the one criteria for you to have in place to be considered for the DCP program? No, not you.
No.
Not you either. Yes. Exactly. The number of members. Why? Again, I'm going to be very transparent. TI wants to make sure that they stay alive, that they stay viable. They don't want to die in the vine like all these other things. So the most important thing is this box right here. Do you see where I'm circling? The membership, right? Membership. Now, everyone has different numbers there because, again, it's that delta, that net growth of 5 new members. So let's say your requirement is 17. Your requirement is 17. In other words, you're required to have 17 members to get the DCP. Right now, you're at 12 members. So how many new members do you have to bring in to make sure you get your DCP points? 5. So that means at this point, right now, if you brought in 2 new members, how many more do you have to bring in by June 30th? 3. Again, I just want to make that distinction, right? You don't have to meet the base, you don't have to meet the to date, you just have to meet the required. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
But again, the takeaway is this. To get the DCP awards, it's based upon you got to satisfy the membership. You see where it says other reports? All the way over to the left-hand side, over here it says other reports, and right beneath it, it says daily reports. Yeah. Please click on daily reports. I'm going to highly recommend that you do this, either now or when you get home. So again, within the DCP tile, if you look all the way to the left, you'll see daily reports. Now, a new window should have populated. And again, you could check these out, but again, what we want you to walk away with is on the left-hand side, please find Educational Achievements Current Year. All right, please click on Educational Achievements Current Year. Okay. It should repopulate the same page. Now, what I want you to take a look at is, do you see where it says member? By chance, does anybody see says something like name not available? Well, that person, you see the first one up there, name not available? Well, that person clicked no for the name on public reports. Do me a favor. Hover over where it says name. In other words, the name of the club. All right, click it once, click it twice. However you want to do it. But just go ahead and click on it. Click on name. Now look what it does. It collates all the clubs together. So what I want you to do is go ahead, scroll around, and find your club. One of your clubs. If you're, I know Tom's the president of 10 clubs, right? Okay. Now, according to statistics, right? Remember I said I'm going to share a very startling statistic with you? We have about 1,800 members here at District 52. Do you know how many awards we've gotten so far after 6 months? 200. 200. If we stay on this course, at the end of the year, we're around the 500 mark out of 1,800 membership. Do you know what that means? That means, my math is horrible, but there's a lot of people not getting what they needed out of Toastmasters. And this is what we're going to put back on us as the presidents. Right? And now that we discovered this, that about 25% of your membership, they are getting the awards. It's that select few that are getting the awards. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we can't put it all on one person's shoulders, right? Everybody has to get involved. Everybody has to do it. Now, we feel this. Does everybody understand that's a startling statistic?
Yes.
Right? 500 people at the end of the year will get any educational advancement. Forget about getting the award, but just advance to grow themselves, right? Now, we feel this. Again, it comes down to that fear of pathways, right? It comes down to that fear of pathways. So now, again, the district has been very diligent on this, and guess what? I think they've gone above and beyond the call of duty to help us presidents to make sure what? June 30th, 2020. Okay? Now, before I continue, this is my own personal feeling, and this is going to come up later when Cece talked about prepared speeches. Does everybody see that everything is now online?
Yep.
So what does that mean? That means Toastmasters International can totally track who's working or not. And again, because now there's an electronic trail as opposed to our little manuals, right? Toastmasters International doesn't know who does manuals or not because it's all on paper. Who knows what people are doing at clubs? They're just trusting us to do it. Well, guess what? They don't have to trust us anymore. It's totally documented now. It's totally documented whether people are going for their educational awards or not. Everybody see that? So it falls on our shoulders, or the officers' shoulders, everyone to get on Toastmasters, right? So again, District 52, I'm going to say did above and beyond the call of duty. So do me a favor, please log on to District 52, district52.org. Again, I think Judy did a hell of a job with this website here. One or two ways to get to where I'm going. Do you see on the top navigation bar where it says educational programs? That's one way to go to it. If you hover over it, you'll see a drop-down, Pathways. And then beneath all these club announcements, that scrolling thing, you'll see Pathways. So either way, go to Pathways for me. Either through educational programs or the tile where it says Pathways underneath it. Did everybody see the red box there? Pathways Quick Guide. Well, it's a quick start guide. Quick start guide, right? So I'm going to highly recommend print this out. Make sure all the officers have it. Why? Well, let's get everybody involved. Why? June 30th, 2020. Dawn has created a fantastic document of a quick start guide, how to quickly start on it. Now, wait a minute. Dawn did something else for us. Since this Pathways thing, does everybody know up to like 2 or 3 months ago that Pathways was locked? You could only look at pathway number 1?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if you know, but now they opened it up. They can look at all the pathways. So here's our suggestion. Dawn, please scroll down. Here's a little hint. Why? Well, again, since you have that manual, you could see what project number 5 is. You could see what project number 2 is. Well, how the heck do you see it when it's virtual? Well, what Dawn did and her student did, scroll down to Pathways Documents for Tracking. Everybody see that? Does everybody see that on my screen?
Yeah.
Okay. To the right of that, in the middle of this page, ladies and gentlemen, they're the 5 pathways. Each path has 5, right? Levels, excuse me, 5 levels within each pathways. So if you were to click on any one of these, right? If you click on any one of those, what does it show you? It shows you the entire path. Why? Here's your takeaway. Now you could show your membership, hey, would you like to see what you're in store for? Why not pick a pathway that's going to satisfy your educational needs? Instead of just looking at level 1, which is pretty much just the icebreaker, I get it. But now it shows them, look at this. This is visionary communication. Why? Look, we get what level 1 is, and what Lance is showing you, he actually printed out every single one of these. Why? So that you could show the membership. But ladies and gentlemen, if you scroll down, look what it shows you. It shows you level 4 and level 5. Why? These, in all honesty, these are the more complex levels. Wouldn't you agree? Mm-hmm. So why not be in store for what the more complex, the more heaviest lifting you're going to do, right? So that you could pick one that's most appropriate for you, so that the membership gets the most education out of it. So here's our suggestion. Before they sign up for our pathways, take a look at these, take a look at all these paths. In particular, look at levels 4 and levels 5 to see what they're in store for. Wouldn't you agree that if they know what they're in store for, know that if it's satisfied their educational needs, will they be more apt now to do that path?
Amen.
Amen and hallelujah.